Tesla was up over 20% after reporting earnings, and the company luckily shared a lot about the AI space. So if you are an Nvidia stock investor, we do have a lot of great information for you today. Outside of what Tesla had to say about the AI space, there's a lot of other updates impacting Nvidia, especially finally ending this internet beef between TSMC and Nvidia. So we're going to take a closer look at that and some other AI updates impacting our favorite semiconductor company. Outside of that, if you do not hit that thumbs up and subscribe button, me and you are going to have beef. So make sure to hit that right away. Also check out my pinned comment for special offers at fool.com/Jose and my special ebook for earnings that are coming out right now. So check that out with the special code. And let's get started.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so if you are a Tesla investor, like I would say probably most of us here in this video are. Let me know in the comments below if you're not a Tesla investor and why not. But obviously, I've done plenty of videos on Tesla, and today I really want to focus on what it had to say about the AI space, because I do believe the AI space is the true growth opportunity for Tesla in the future. So Nvidia right now didn't really have too much movements. The stock was up 0.6%, but it's back to $140. I believe in the past few days, there have been some comments of worrying how the stock went up from 144 and dropped down all the way to like 137. Let me just say, I personally am not worried about stock price movement like that. If you are a long-term investor, those types of movements shouldn't really scare you. I mean, if one is investing in a company, don't really look at the daily price movements. What I try to do in this channel is just try to find daily updates on the AI space so we can continue to build our bullish thesis and bullish sentiments towards the Nvidia stock. But by no means does that mean that the stock price should be rising every single day. Long term, I am a big Nvidia bull. In the short term, I think anything can happen, and I personally wouldn't be buying huge levels at these price points. Now, jumping into what Tesla said for Nvidia, I want to say there's one point that maybe might have freaked out a few investors. Tesla mentions that they started using the GPU cluster based out of their factory house and ahead of schedule, and are on track to get 50,000 GPUs deployed in Texas by the end of this month. One thing which they like to elaborate is that they're being very judicious on their AI compute spend, to saying how best they can utilize the existing infrastructure before making further investments. And if you're reading this, the first thing you might notice is, hey, look, 50,000 GPUs by next month. So obviously that is bullish for Nvidia, but I would say most likely these GPUs were purchased numerous months ago. Now, the thing that should really grab your attention is at the end, they mentioned that, hey, look, AI compute spend is something that we're gonna look at into a lot closer, and we're gonna keep optimizing what we have before making any further investments. And I want to say, if you're reading that, if you are maybe an Nvidia bear, that might be like, haha, see, I told you. This is the bearish scenario for Nvidia, where companies are going to overorder at first, and then eventually they're going to stop their orders as they continue to optimize their solutions. Now, what I want to say to that bearish thesis is all AI companies are different. Obviously, if you are maybe a single user, and we're going to explain it in a bit, because Tesla actually gave us some great examples of why this isn't necessarily a bad thing. But obviously, Tesla with their AI solutions is completely different from all these clouding giants who are using these GPUs to offload a lot of AI infrastructure for different types of startup companies. So definitely different kind of businesses. So you shouldn't take this Tesla talk right here as saying, hey, look, this is the ultimate bearish thesis for Nvidia. Because of this, I do believe certain analysts kind of focused a little bit more on some AI questions. And one of the questions was like, hey, how are you any different from kind of like OpenAI and some of these other large language model companies who are constantly buying more and more infrastructure as their models get larger and larger? It's the type of AI models that Tesla is working different from models like large language models. And Elon pretty much mentions, yes, there's a huge difference between real world AI models and LLM models in forms of massive amount of context, right? I mean, in forms of these real world AI models that that Tesla is running is you have so much information coming in at once, from 8+ cameras to audios to other types of sensory systems, that kind of this AI model needs to integrate. So where LLMs, you're trying to upgrade that model over and over and over again by adding more kind of solutions and more compute. The way that Tesla makes it seem is what they really need to optimize to make kind of autonomy better is improving the optimization of the data that they are collecting. So not necessarily increase to the next model up or jump to the next model. In forms of real world AI, the best thing is being able to optimize all those 8 cameras, optimize all that data coming in, and kind of making more sense out of it. So that's why it's not necessarily as big of a deal for them to kind of not increase their AI compute at such a rapid pace like OpenAI. So I think that kind of should be able to have maybe some of the fears out of investors, where you're not, hey, look, this is the bearish thesis that everyone's talking about, and Tesla kind of showed it to us. Now, again, just another example, Elon pretty much mentions that, hey, look, there's a big difference in AI, and AI is not all equal. There's a huge broad spectrum of AI. There's kind of that real world AI that Tesla is doing, and then there's large language models, or things like artificial general intelligence or artificial superintelligence, which is something like OpenAI and XAI are doing right now. So there's many different types of AI companies, and this is what I really wanted to bring up to NVIDIA investors, because it helps us understand that, hey, look, there's different types of avenues, different types of growth opportunities in the AI space, and maybe certain AI segments might not be as GPU constrained as others. And it's important to understand the difference, because if you don't understand the difference, then you start to believe that if one AI company says something bad, then that means that all AI companies are going to say something bad. So I hope that information was useful to investors. Now, the second thing I want to take a closer look at is NVIDIA CEO says that Blackwell design flaws were 100% on the company. TSMC had no part to play. Now it's pretty much back to full production. So there's been so many reports that there's this huge tension building up between TSMC and NVIDIA. And I've mentioned in plenty of videos where I believe this is a nothing burger. I think the media, because NVIDIA is becoming such a popular company, it gets a lot more attention. Now, normally this could be something that would just fly off the radar, but I think Jensen gets this question asked so much time, hey, is there really a tension between you and TSMC? So Jensen finally said, hey, look, the issues we had with Blackwell a few months ago have been solved. They were all our fault, and TSMC was the one who also helped us fix those issues. So they don't have anything to blame. So I think Jensen, out of respect, is just making sure that, hey, look, everything's known and that there is no tension between them. So we should just continue to go back. So I don't want to hear any more discussions about this TSMC and NVIDIA beef. Like I mentioned at the beginning, this is a nothing burger in my opinion. And the Blackwell is in full production. The other thing is we are already seeing real world examples of the Blackwell platform also entering into customers. We saw Microsoft, Google, Meta platforms, and OpenAI all showed plenty of images of their GB200 or their B200 system. So to me, I'm not personally worried about Blackwell at all. Now, there are some new news coming out for Blackwell right now that maybe some investors might be worried about. And supposedly, Morgan Stanley reports that the NVIDIA's 2U air-cooled MGX GP200 system still suffers from thermal issues. Now, for those that are not familiar, U is kind of a unit rack, and it's kind of like a measurement system of a server system. So 2U is kind of like 2 standard measurements. So what it's reporting right now, and I kind of looked at the articles right now, and most of the information is coming from a Morgan Stanley note, and they're also kind of quoting this kind of Twitter post that I'm sharing right now. And in forms of that thermal issue, it doesn't seem like a big deal. Worst case scenario is that this 2U factor is going to go into a 4U factor, so it's just going to be slightly bigger, but it's something that can definitely be fixed. And remember, this is only for reportedly the air-cooled system. And there's plenty of those that are using a liquid cool when it comes to the GB200 or even the B200 system. So for me personally, another nothing burger, but it's something that could create maybe some negative sentiment towards the stock if you're not too familiar with the overall industry. Now, in the same tweet, I do believe we find a lot of great informations. There are reports that AMD seems to have trimmed some of its CoWoS wafer booking at TSMC for 2025, giving uncertainty around MI325 demand. So definitely kind of bearish for AMD if true. It seems like Nvidia is quickly becoming the only one to take market. I'm still bullish in AMD, and I really wasn't too excited about the MI300 or the MI325. There wasn't much gain here, especially since it's pretty behind Nvidia in forms of innovation right now. Right, the MI325 will be combating the Blackwell, and the Blackwell is far ahead of the competition. Luckily, based on this Morgan Stanley report, it is reported that Nvidia has actually taken the capacity that AMD has kind of let go of. So even more bullish, in my opinion, for Nvidia. The final thing that I found pretty interesting from this is MRVL's CoWoS booking at TSMC is 3 times higher in 2025 versus 2024. The main reason is it does seem like Amazon is increasing its AI chip manufacturing, its Trainium 2 and its Inferentia 2.5 in 2025 are going to increase in bookings. So MRVL is actually going to be growing a lot in the AI chip market, in my opinion. And if you are familiar with this channel, you are familiar that we are very, very much bullish on MRVL. We've talked about MRVL when it was in the low 70s, now sitting in the low 80s. We've actually talked about it when it was in the high 60s. So I'm pretty excited. MRVL is one that I'm owning, and I'm really enjoying the overall stock right now. And based on this reports, I believe MRVL is actually going to continue to have a nice next few years thanks to AI custom solutions, or ASIC. So pretty bullish for MRVL in my opinion right now. I think right now it's definitely sitting a little bit kind of excited, but there's definitely potential for this stock. So those are the updates that I have. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.